Top of the morning, friends. Here we are in Antietam. We're at the sunrise here at the visitor center, checking it out and looking over the fields today in this peaceful, beautiful valley down below. And directly off in this direction here, this was not a peaceful place. The center of the line is going to be roughly out there somewhere. There's going to be a sunken road that's going to be forever known as Bloody Lane. And we'll go over there today and we'll talk about it. We'll also hit some of the other points of this battlefield and try to grasp the understanding of why it is that this place became known as the single bloodiest day in American history when it comes to combat and death. There were a lot of men left on this field, wounded and dying, when the 17th ended. And on into the 18th, still skirmishing continued to happen, and there was still dying afterwards. So we'll hit some of those points and we'll talk about it today, and hopefully, like I said, we can get a better understanding of it. Thanks for joining me out here at the field today for the sunrise at Antietam, and hope you stay tuned. History with Waffles. So, out here at Antietam at the Bloody Lane, the general overview of what happened here. Essentially, 2,200 Confederate soldiers were holding this line here at the sunken road against overwhelming odds. There was something around 10,000 plus soldiers attacking this position from the Union Army, all coming from Sumner's Corps and French's division. And we also looking at various different units that are pouring into this field as well. Where I'm at right now is where the North Carolinians would have been, and directly behind me there, if you look and see that tower, South Carolina and Georgia would have also come in on that direction, and South Carolina is also up ahead in front of me. Walking forward here, when you get to the Roulette Farm location where the lane is, it goes out to the farm, Alabama would have been there. And when we get to that point, this is where the 6th Alabama is. The 6th Alabama was commanded by John B. Gordon. And in this position, if you've ever read up on it, it tells about how John B. Gordon was wounded out here at this sunken road. I believe it was 6 times he took a wound out here. And one time, he actually took the wound to the face. And if you ever look at some of his late war pictures, you can see the sunken depression in his face from where the bullet went through. The thing that he said saved him was a Yankee bullet pierced his hat, leaving a hole in the bottom of his hat so that the blood could pour out, so that he wouldn't drown in his own blood when he fell forward. There's some crazy fighting out here. If you're in the Irish Brigade and it's September 17th and you're getting ready to attack the sunken road, this is what it looks like directly behind me. That position just up over that hill as a reference point, that hilltop. You have to go to the top and then come back down towards the sunken road. There is no way of seeing what's on the other side of that until you get over this hill. And if you look all around this position, it's like that everywhere. Directly behind me here at Bloody Lane is the marker for G.B. Anderson's mortal wounding. The story's a little bit more complicated than just being shot and being injured on the field and then dying. G.B. Anderson was wounded in the foot. It doesn't typically sound like something that you would die from, but the shrapnel was left in the foot and the surgeon had no idea it was there to begin with. Then later on his foot started hurting even worse. He went back to Raleigh to recuperate because they actually had to amputate that foot. And that was a cannon. Anyways, so he goes back to Raleigh to recuperate, and while he was there, unfortunately, he ends up dying and succumbing to his wound. I believe it was October 16th of 1862 when he finally passed away. So I'm now in the position where John B. Gordon and his 6th Alabama would have been. And you can see the sign behind me here for the Roulette Farm lane, which takes you down to where the farm is itself. You see the lane directly behind me there. And then the rest of the sunken road going towards North Carolina is back in this direction. So North Carolina is going up there towards that hill. And this, right behind me, is where the 6th Alabama is. It's also where the rest of Alabama is, winding straight up on the sunken lane, going up in that direction there. Somewhere right here in this location, John B. Gordon was commanding his 6th Alabama. And he started taking wounds. He took 5 to 6 wounds total in action out here. The one that knocked him to the ground, however, was one right to his face. And you can see it in his late war pictures. He has an actual depression in his face from where the bullet entered. He said later on that the thing that saved his life when he was fighting here was that a Yankee bullet pierced his hat. And when he fell forward into his hat, the blood started to pool as he was unconscious. But that hole that was in his hat allowed the blood to pour out to the field, therefore saving his life. I'm out here at the opening of the Bloody Lane, the sunken road at Antietam. I'm taking the Bloody Lane trail now. And what we should be able to see more cannon fire. What we should be able to see is we should be able to see the difference here in the terrain as we're walking along, so that you can see how that sunken road back there just kind of disappears behind us and then all of a sudden reappears. So I'll continue moving along this sunken road, and then we'll talk about the different units that would have been out here and the fight that took place at this location. Now the position that we're at right now is adjacent to the Roulette Farm, which is right over there. You can see it kind of off in the distance right there. The farm road runs just below the hill, right up towards those trees there. The visitor center is right about there. And then that main monument for New York is sitting on top of the hill there. Now, from this position, you would have seen McClaw's men back in this direction. Jackson is off in those woods. Hooker is coming from over in that direction. And in this direction here is where French and his men are. And we have 3 separate setups, one after the other, that are supposed to go in waves into the battle here at the sunken road. And directly in front of me, as you can tell by looking at the hill, and this hill right here, it's not a very good position to be in when marching in columns and rows. When you're marching towards that hill, you can't really see the target up there above you. So the sunken road itself separated 2 farms. In the main position over there, we have Alabama off to the right-hand side where you're looking, and you have North Carolina off to the left-hand side. Colquitt, McRae, and Cobb would have been over there on that right-hand side with Alabama. And to that left-hand side, you would have seen North Carolina with G.B. Anderson. And then behind that was the cornfield for Piper's Farm. Right out in front, the 1st Delaware, 5th Maryland, 4th New York from Weber is the first wave. And then at the farm, right about where we're at, we have the 14th Connecticut, 130th Pennsylvania, 108th New York of Morris, right in through these fields here. And behind Roulette Farm, stretching in the field behind me here, is the 14th Indiana, the 8th Ohio, the 132nd Pennsylvania, and the 7th Wisconsin of Kimball. And this is all under Sumner's 2nd Corps. So we're going to go walk up this field here and kind of show you where that second line would have been walking into the fire after the first line gets rejected and thrown back into their face. All right, as we're walking along here, you can kind of see nothing but farm rows. Looking to the right, we have the Roulette Farm and a stretched out valley here. We have some pretty clear view of what the soldiers are doing in this direction, including the artillery that's up on the hill over there. Looking to my left, however, there's a nice large hill. So the men that are on that side of me, I can't really tell what they're doing. And over in this direction would have been Meagher of the famed Irish Brigade that they always talk about fighting here at the Sunken Road, or a Bloody Lane. Now we're going down into sort of a lower valley or depression in the walk. And I'm walking at a pretty quick pace. They would have been walking at a decent pace themselves trying to get up here. And as we move through here, when we come to the top, you're going to see the view just all of a sudden open up to us. Well, that view is great if you're standing up here expecting to fight from this position. The view is absolutely terrible when you consider the fact that your enemy is directly in front. And now you are completely and utterly exposed to the fight. If you're in that second line, the first line's in front of you already fighting. You can hear the noises. You can hear the cannons, the muskets. You can hear the soldiers screaming, the men hitting the ground, horses being shot out from underneath people. You pretty much know what's about to happen. And then those men have to fall back. So as you're marching up through here and those men are falling back, they're now getting in the way of your formation and they're slowing you down. Looking over towards the observation tower, we'll go up top there and take a look at what this position looks like from up there. Now I'm nearly at the top, and now that I'm in this position here, I can see part of the sunken lane right over there, off in the distance. Observation tower, sunken lane. And that part is North Carolina, and then Georgia is just past the tower over here. My part has not shown itself yet. I can still take fire from over here if they're inclined to shoot in this direction. But I know that the line runs from over there to over here. And I'm about to crest this hill right now. So now as I get to the top of this hill, more of the sunken road is showing up. Now these men here can prepare to fire. You can barely see the fence rails sticking up over there. And at the time, the fence rails would not have been up. The fence rails would have been down. They were being used as breastworks. So there's no way of you knowing that anybody's over there until they stick up past the breastworks. So I crest this hill, and as I get just over the top here, now I'm well within range of musket fire, and I've been in range of cannon fire, but this is the dead zone. This is where they start opening fire and taking heavy losses, and men are not able to get past this area at first. They're standing in line shooting towards this sunken road in front of me, but the sunken road's so far down, it's a formidable position to be in because they have protection from the cannon fire, protection from the musket fire as it goes overhead, or the carbine fire. Off in the distance over in this direction is Piper's cornfield. And over there, I can't even see the sunken road. It's down below the hill, and Alabama's over there fighting with French's men. When the sunken road finally gives way, the break happens in this direction here. And those men go running past and falling back in this direction. And then all of these men end up getting rolled up. And they end up having to go back toward Piper's farm, which is off in the distance over here, directly in front of me. And now I make my way into the sunken road. This is what the fight was for this piece of ground. And if you're a Confederate soldier back here, you're pretty well protected, but this isn't like some sort of thin bank where you can just sit behind it and shoot. You've got the fence rails stacked up here, and the men are coming from that direction, and in order for you to get to them, you're gonna have to expose yourself a little bit. And looking back towards that direction, if I'm in this position, I'm not real sure what's coming towards me. Over there, I've got a nice valley view of what's hitting North Carolina and Georgia. Over here, I can pretty much see what's happening to the soldiers in Alabama. but from this position, not so much. So I'm at the top of that sunken road now, where the monument is for Brigadier General Thomas Francis Meagher and the Irish Brigade. And also, over here in this position, is the marker for the mortal wounding of Major General Israel Richardson. And we're going to go up inside that tower and look down at the positions of the Union and Confederate armies. Well, we are at the top, and we're going to go through some battlefield orientation up here. Got here just in time as it started raining out here. For you battlefield enthusiasts, September 17th, 1862 was not a rainy day. So, looking at the field below us, in this position here, leading up to the tower, is North Carolina, from right about there through here. From this position here, pushing in that direction, is Alabama. The rest of the Confederate units are back on Piper's Farm with the artillery out in this portion of the field here. And over here, you have Jackson and McLaws and those units that are engaged with Hooker and Meade's units coming from this direction. Now directly out here on this field, Meagher is actually coming from over here. So the Irish Brigade's coming from that clearing in this direction up to here. Out front, in three lines, you have the 1st Delaware, the 5th Maryland, the 4th New York of Weber. Back at the farm, you have the 14th Connecticut, 130th Pennsylvania, 108th New York of Morris. So Weber, Morris, and then behind the roulette farm, you have the 14th Indiana, the 8th Ohio, 132nd Pennsylvania, 7th Wisconsin of Kimball. Weber, Morris, and then back here in these fields, Kimball. And one at a time, the units are coming up while another one is in support. And then another one is in support. When the first one reaches the crest of the hill, right off in this direction here, that initial wave hits them and they end up falling back. And the second line comes up, and then the third line comes up. Eventually, this portion of the field collapses, and those men fall back into the cornfield and try to take a position here, while these men are unaware and are still fighting. And now they're actually getting flanked. So there's deadly firing going down the row. Eventually, they have to fall back. And the entirety of this unit ends up over here at Piper's Farm, around these positions in these fields fighting the Union Army. Eventually, this 10,000 plus Union Army that's in this position that takes this field is not supported further by that massive army that's on the other side. And so they have to relinquish the position that they fought all day to get and give control of this lane and everything in front of it back to the Confederate Army. Although it was successful at taking this position, it was pretty much just like the rest of the battlefield. It was concluded that it was a draw. But when you consider the forces that are fighting here, 2,200 Confederate soldiers are in that lane. 10,000 plus Union soldiers are attacking that position, which was a great position. It's more of a victory on the side of the Confederate soldiers that are down in those trenches than it is for the Union Army coming across this field. But they were victorious in taking the position. It's been awesome being out here in Sharpsburg, Maryland, bringing the Battle of Antietam to you the last couple of days in both the sun and the rain. So hopefully we'll have better weather next time. We'll bring some more videos to you. I got a few more things coming, but stay tuned here on YouTube and check me out on the Twitter account as well. Until next time, this is History with Waffles.